And in the process of it, he was talking to me about what he wanted to do, what was his next step, what's going to happen in his life, how does he get his life moving in the right direction. There we go. And so we start talking, and so we start talking about the different things that would happen in his life. And in that conversation, we begin to talk about what in the heck just happened. Hold on, folks. What in the heck just happened? Okay.
Was me. The only person.
Okay, so now, I'm sorry, it just happened. Welcome Instagram, welcome TikTok, welcome YouTube. So in the process of it, let me try to move you guys over here. In the process of it, he's telling me about all the different things that are happening in his life. And while he's talking about the things that happen in his life, I'm wondering, what's his move? What's the move here? Give that to my wife. What's his move? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? Now, here's why I say that. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to hear me very closely. Most of you are living a life that does not equate with how you want to live in your life. You're not living the life that you want to live. So I'm going to talk to you about some things and help you kind of get into the life you want to live. There are a couple of passages that I talk about all the time, a couple of scriptures that I go through all the time. And one of the scriptures is Philippians. The other scripture is Hebrews, the 11th chapter. But I want to share some stuff with you today. One of the detriments of Christianity, I always talk about church, but let's talk about Christianity. One of the detriments of Christianity is you are given a semi-God complex. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but you're given this God complex. And what does this God complex do? It makes you feel like you have to do the right things all the time. Now, that is not the case. Let me get my mic over here. That is not the case. You do not have to do the right things all the time. And you have to understand that there is a portion of your life that has to make mistakes, because mistakes are the prelude for understanding, and understanding is a prelude for revelation. Okay? Mistakes are the prelude for understanding, and understanding is a prelude for revelation. So, the Bible says a couple things. It says, number one, that you should have no need for any man to teach you. Now, that does not mean that they're not instructors, because that is contrary to what it says in Ephesians, and he gave some apostles, some prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. So that's a conflict, it seems, but it's not a conflict. What you have to realize is that, like I said, and I'll show you guys again that are here with me on YouTube. When you go to the YouTube, you'll see this. These things over here are the plateaus for teaching. And those plateaus for teaching are the plateau of spirit, mind, and body. So each of those plateaus need to be taught how to line up with the spirit. So your body needs to know, your mind needs to know, and all these things need to be lined up with the spirit. So if you have those plateaus and you've learned those things, what happens is you're able to transition better. So you understand the mentality of a teacher. Now, I have my window open, it's kind of hot in here. So you understand the mentality of a teacher. So if you have no need for any man to teach you, what do you teach? He said the Spirit teaches you. Now, here is a thing I need you to understand. Your spirit teaches you in a number of ways. Now, I'm talking about this about relationships. I'm talking about the church. I'm talking about this in a number of different ways. Your spirit teaches in a number of different ways. It teaches you by inspiration, meaning you are inspired to do something, and that inspiration creates an opportunity. The opportunity creates a purpose. Okay, it teaches you by interacting with a circumstance. Now, what do I mean by that? You go to a situation and you go, okay, Ted did something to me, and because Ted did something to me, I'm now angry, and that whole situation creates an understanding, and it creates a revelation. Now, when you deal with circumstances, you have to understand this. The circumstances never speak to your weakness. They address your strength. Now, what do I mean by that? If someone does something to you and you get angry and you do something you shouldn't have done, that is not to reveal the weakness of the fact that you did something wrong. It is to reveal the fact that you're strong enough to identify it and deal with it. So what happens is when that person gets angry with you or you do something to that person, you have to realize you were strong enough or that situation would have never happened. You were strong enough or that situation would have never happened. So that's what you have to understand. God never addresses you as weak. He addresses you according to your strength. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to a lot of people. So when he addresses you according to your strength, you go, what do I have need of? I need money, I need a wife, I need a husband, I need a car, I need a house, whatever. And so when a situation applies, that situation goes, okay, I'm addressing you because you're strong enough to handle this situation. You follow me? Now, while I say all of that here's where your challenge comes with Christianity. Okay? Let's look at it in Hebrews. Let's look at it in Hebrews. I'm going to read it for you. So here's where your challenge becomes. Here's where everything kind of hits the fan. Here's where everything kind of hits the fan. Sorry about this. I'll get this back to this. Here's where everything starts to hit the fan. When things start to hit the fan is when you believe that you can carry more than you've been called to carry. I need y'all to hear me. When you believe you can carry more than you're called to carry. Why is my money not happening? Why is my husband not there? Why is this? Why are all these things happening? Well, because you believe you can carry more than you can actually carry. Why? Because you're given this God complex. And I've watched it happen a number of times. And when I watched it happen, I watched people go, what happened with this? Why did this not happen in my life? Well, because you're carrying a responsibility that's not your responsibility. You got me? You're carrying a responsibility that's not your responsibility. And I've seen it happen a number of times. You're carrying a responsibility that's not your responsibility. And that's why I love that passage so much in Hebrews. You're carrying a responsibility that's not your responsibility. Sorry, we're looking down. So what does that mean? Okay, at a certain age, every person has to become accountable. And here's where a lot of people have a challenge. So is he that valuable? Is that person in your life this valuable? And I'm going to show you some values and things that are probably going to mess you up, especially when it comes to you people that are going to church. So every person has to come to a point that they're accountable to their connection to the Spirit of God, to church, to Bible, whatever you want to call it. And the challenge that happens is because we've turned this into a bisexual society and not in the sexual part of it, bisexual meaning gender, meaning that the man and the female, the male and the female are the exact same thing. It alters and frustrates the structure that God placed on the earth. And the reason he placed the structure, it frustrates that. So here's the deal. Now we believe that we have this ultimate power to monitor what's going on in other people's lives. For example, we have a young lady. She has a son. She has it with this young man. She gets pregnant. She never determines whether this man is a dad or not, but she gets pregnant. Why? Because in the basis of most women, I didn't say all, in the basis of most women, when a woman has a child, she doesn't have the child for a purpose. She has the child for love. She has the child because she wants someone to love her. What's up, Adam? I'm on YouTube. Meet me on YouTube. On that link right there. She has the child because of love. And so when she has the child because of love, she no longer needs the husband that was in it other than monetary. She needs him for money. She doesn't need him to raise him because we live in this society right now. And this society does not hold to the principles that are the foundation of what makes a relationship work. We hold to the principles that says everybody is the same and we all look the same, we all act the same, we all drink the same, all those types of things. But that's not the case. And this is why we are where we are right now. So what she does is she has the baby because she wants love. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not the purpose of having a baby. Sharing your love is not the purpose of having a baby. Showing that baby, that child, a better way of life than what you lived is the purpose. But that doesn't mean give them everything. So woman has child. Child grows up, She doesn't like the dad, didn't want to have a baby with the dad, so she's doing everything in her power to keep the baby from the dad, whether it's a good reason or a bad reason. What happens at this point is now, because she has to be father and mother, and this is also guys, father and mother, she feels like she has to protect him against what happens to him as he goes into the world. So now you become a holder and an enabler to this young man. Why? He will carry on attributes of what you showed him in order for him to fix his problems. Does that mean he's not a good man? No, it does not mean he's not a good man. But what it does mean is this: you are sacrificing his spiritual life or her spiritual life for what you believe is going to happen to that particular person. Yes, I know there are spirits out here. I know these different things right here. But the bottom line to the whole situation is this: it's not your job to carry them. So now, you carrying this person. So now, follow me. You have your responsibilities. You have their responsibilities. You have the fact you've got to make sure your car payment is made, and you got to make sure their car payment is made. Well, I don't do that. It's not natural. It's not the carnal part. It's the spiritual part that you carry. You carry the spiritual part. So what happens to you, you become in the habit of doing this. So now you're not looking for a man in your life. You're looking for another child in your life. You're looking for somebody that will respect and honor the fact that you take responsibilities for their lives. You're looking for someone to be another one of your children. So then you marry this man, and all you do is try to monitor what you believe will help him to benefit his life. You try to dress him a certain way. You try to get him to act a certain way. So what you've done is you just adopted another child. And I know this is kind of crazy. You've adopted another child. And because you've adopted this other child, you're wondering why he doesn't supply your needs, why he doesn't do the things you need him to do. Why? Because you've adopted a child. Why? Because the moment you realize that the love you're looking for is not based on the fact that you can love this child, and I'm watching them have children over and over and over and over again. If you have not prepared spiritually, not physically, not emotionally, not physically, not financially, if you've not prepared spiritually for raising that child, you don't need to have a child because you want to love somebody or you need love. That's the problem. You've now limited yourself to the fact that God cannot love you at the level that this child can love you. So now he's 15 and he's acting out. Why? Because he's learned the thing, and this is girls as well. He's learned the structure of how you run your life. So now he says what he wants to say and does what he wants to do, because in the back of your mind, you don't put your hands on him because it's against the law. Don't put him out because you don't want anything bad to happen to him. You are stuck in this prison of carrying the weight of somebody else's life. He turns 21. He's still downstairs in the basement. You don't want to do anything because you're carrying the weight of, you don't want to put him out there in the street. And now he's too old for you to put your hands on. He ain't never too old. Not physically, spiritually. By putting your hands on him, all you do is you now threaten the man. But then you start thinking about you're going to be by yourself, and so you really don't want him out the house. He turns 25. You've now adopted your life to a son that is taking the position of a husband, that is now operating the way a husband should operate in the household. Why? Because the whole thing was not love. It was the fact that there were parts of you that needed to hold responsibilities, or you needed someone to take responsibilities for. So what happens now, he takes out the trash. He does the things, but you are stuck in this position where he's not your man and he's not your son. He is now a roommate. So now you're making him pay rent. What's the challenge here? You're carrying a weight that's not yours because you don't trust that God will take care of it. Wherefore, seeing we're compassed about by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight. Let us lay aside every weight. See, the key becomes, we've never been taught how to have children. I wasn't taught. So because I wasn't taught, what I did is I learned how to work the system and then learned how to make sure the system was correct according to what I wanted it to do. What do I mean by that? If your son is old enough to get a job, then he needs a job. Putting him out is not putting him out. You've not ever prepared him spiritually because you were looking for love. And now the responsibility of, oh, I should have went to the basketball game. I should have done all these things for him. The responsibility falls on you because the moment you dislike the dad, though you slept with him, bad reason or bad good, the moment you dislike the dad, all of a sudden the responsibilities of the dad fall on you. So now you got to take care of it. So now you got to be the one that should have went to the football team or football game or the baseball game or the track game or, whatever. You were the one because you never took on the responsibility of raising a child. You took on the responsibility of loving this kid so that they would never feel like you felt. Lay aside every weight. That's children. Let's take a twist. Let's kind of twist this thing for a second. You have a grandmother, or you have a mother, and there are six of the children. You guys are running around. There's six of y'all. So you have a mother, and your mother has dictated your life all her life. All your life, she's dictated your life. And so now it comes a time for you to do something and run your own life. Why? Because you tell mom everything, and mom gives you advice to everything, and all of a sudden the man comes into life, and your mom doesn't like the man. Don't have a problem with that because moms sometimes know. But you've never stepped out to make a mistake because your mother never wanted you to make a mistake as a young lady. Same thing that this is Mama's Boy 101, but I'm gonna use Mama's Boy. So he does everything for his mother because he's in that cycle of being the man of the household. He's not the man, he's the child. He's in the cycle of being the man of the household. So now he feels his responsibility is to take care of his mom. Mom could be lying about how dad is, but his responsibility is to take care of mom. So it's by that responsibility of taking care of mom, what he now does is he's not looking for a wife. He's looking for somebody. He's not looking for a wife. He's looking for a concubine. He's looking for another mother within the wives that he already has. Right. Because he's never learned how to have a relationship because his relationship is skewed because his mother is in the midst of the relationship. So a woman comes into his life and goes, look, let's have something together. And he puts all the responsibility on the mom, or he puts the responsibility on the wife for her to like the mom. Do you like my mom? My mom said this. My mom said this. Leave mother and father and cleave to your wife. So but now you got a baby's down. Excuse me. You got a mommy issues and you got daddy issues. So let's go on from there. That's the thing. That's kind of serious because a lot of people that come on here talk about relationships. So he said, lay aside every weight. Lay aside every weight. Now, that's not the only thing. Feeling like you're obligated as a Christian to take care of people because you have the capabilities to take care of them. The Bible says if it's within your power to help, to help. Within your power does not mean what you have in your pocket. Within your power means what you have in your spirit. Have you been empowered to help this person? Have you empowered to fix this situation? Have you been, we think power is our capabilities in this carnal. You think because I'm strong enough to lift the car that I should go lift your car because I have the strength. When that's not the case. Your strength is not your capabilities in the physical. Your strength is your capabilities in the spirit. Y'all follow me? Y'all follow me? Your strength is your capabilities in the spirit. But if you don't understand the spirit, what you do is you rely on your physical and mental capabilities. Why? Because that gives you value. Because people think you're important. You're addicted to this value. You want somebody to like you. You want somebody to think you're worthy. So where you suffer in other areas, you think that other areas will make you feel better. Back to having a child. Lay aside every weight and the sin that does so easily beset you and run your race. Run your race. So you have this thing going on, and you got these weights. And when you understand that the biggest reason that I have a challenge with the organization called church is because we give responsibilities of the leaders and we put those responsibilities on us. Oh my God, we got to make sure we get pastor a car. We got to make sure we get pastor a house. We got to make sure pastor gets this. Now, here's what's interesting. If I got on this line and begin to say the same things that you are already subject to in your church, everybody on here would think I was some kind of jack leg or jack whatever it is. Why? Because what you've been taught is this man is king. So now you carry the responsibilities of two kings. Two kings. True kings. King God and king leader. So now, instead of you taking care of your relationship with God, you're taking care of relationship with the man. That's a weight. These are weights. I'm trying to show you these are weights. So you go around trying to do good. Doing good is not obeying the laws of the person that you're doing the good for. Doing good is not obeying the laws of the person that you're doing good for. For example, if I come to you that I want to give you help, because you want to drive my Bentley does not mean that that's the kind of help that you need. I'm there to supply a need, not as a fisherman. I mean, not to give you a fish, but to teach you how to fish. See, when we understand that my job is not to bear down on making you happy or satisfying you, is to encourage you to move to the next level. So if I don't give you my Bentley, that doesn't mean that I don't want to help. It simply means that my job is not to become your God. But Christianity tells you that. You have to become their God. Why? Catholic, you want to be saints. All these things, you become their God. When in actuality, the only person you have to become God to is you. Your responsibility is to become God to yourself. It is not to become God to people. It is not your responsibility to pay people's bills. Now hear me. Follow me when I'm saying this. It's not your responsibility to pay people's bills. It's not your responsibility to make sure their children are okay or make sure they're okay. It's not your responsibility. It's the responsibility of God for him to inspire you how to move. If you move outside of him, you take the responsibility of what you're moving toward. It's not your job. Now, I'm saying this because I'm shock and awe. It's not your job to take care of your son after he's 21 years old. It's not your job. Raise him in the way he should go, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. It's not your job to take care of your daughter. It's not your job to take care of grandma, auntie, Pookie, Rere, Nana, Sha, Shu. But it's not your job. But because we are not connected to the spirit, bottom line, I don't forget this one. It's not your job, woman, ladies, to take care of a man. It's not your job. It's not your job to fix him and prepare him for the next relationship. It's not your job. It's not your job. It's not your job. That's above your pay grade. That's God's job. But once you connect to the spirit, what you begin to learn is your job is to obey God pertaining to that situation. Now, what's the difference? You see yourself, you're walking down the street. This actually happened to me. Let me tell you a story. I was in Atlanta over in East Point. I think it was East Point. Jonesboro, off of Jonesboro Road. There's, I think 85 comes up, one of the expressways comes up there. And there was a man sitting there, he had one leg, and he was in a wheelchair, said, I want food. As I'm riding by, a friend of mine is riding the car with me, a pastor friend of mine, and says, well, should we stop? I said, no, why are you stopping? Well, look at him, he needs this. His external says this. When you get moving in the spirit, ladies, you'll stop following external. That's going to be the number one thing that's going to mess your mind up. Stop following the external. I said, no, we're not going to go. We're not going to pull over. So we're going to this pastor's house of mine, a friend of mine's pastor. And the pastor's wife is there. The pastor's not there. So we sit there and the pastor's wife is talking to us. And all of a sudden the pastor walks in. And I said, he's talking and he's just doing, man, you know what just happened? This is what he says. He said, you know what just happened to me? And everybody said, well, what? I was coming off the expressway and there was this guy that had one leg and a wheelchair, said he wanted to eat. So I asked him, why not take him down to the McDonald's or the Burger King, get him something to eat and he won't be hungry anymore. He said, that man said he didn't want that. He wanted some money to drink. It was the same man. The same man. See, when you understand that you have to take off the God complex and stop trying to do what's good. See, I used to do a teaching, so the difference in good and God is good has two O's, obvious and it's okay. First O, it's obvious. It's just obvious. It's obvious. It's not obvious when you're in the spirit. And O, the other O is okay. It's just okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's not the perfect will of God. Remember the 12th chapter. It's acceptable. It's the good, the acceptable, and the perfect will of God. But it's not the good will of God. It's the okay will of God. See, what you have to realize is the power that you carry and possess is so potent that whatever you release is going to come back on you, come back to you. But when you release exactly what you're supposed to release, then it's 10 times better. I just heard a story of a young man. There was a ship, and the ship was stuck in the middle of the ocean, and they couldn't get the ship to go. And they did everything to the point that they were about to lose their contract for the ship. And so they said, no money we don't care. If it takes $1 million, we got to get this ship to the shore. We must do this. And the captains get together. They go, what are we doing? And one guy walks in. He said, I know this guy that fixes boats. And he said, okay, call him. He said, okay. He called the little guy, and the little old dude walks in. He has a little bitty pack and a little bit of toolbox. And he walks in, and it takes him like 10 minutes to go through the entire engine. Faster than anybody has ever gone through an engine. He walks in, looks in his bag. He goes, goes into his bag, and he pulls out a hammer. It's about this big. About this wide. He begins to rub a spot on the engine, and he taps the engine, and when he taps the engine turns on. The whole ship is moving, and he leaves, and when he leaves, he sends back a bill. The bill says $10,000. The captains lose their mind. They go, wait a minute, why is this man charging $10,000? All he did was to tap on the engine. He said, look, send him an itemized bill. Maybe he did something else. Just send me an itemized bill. So he emails him and says, send us an itemized bill. They send him an itemized bill. He said, tapping the engine, $2. Knowing where to tap, $9,998. See, you want to give, and giving is okay, but knowing where and when to give, knowing where and when to hold, knowing where and when to fold, Kenny Rogers, is more potent than just doing it. See, we want to just start throwing money and throwing things because we're so desperate to see things happen in our lives, and we're so desperate to see God move in our lives that we want to just start throwing things at it. Just here's money to the poor, and here's money to the church, and here's money to that. When in actuality, if you're led by the Spirit, you know exactly where to tap, which will bring the most potent and the most powerful thing to your life. See, you just want to take care of your child just because you don't want him to suffer. But when you're in the Spirit, you know exactly how to take care of him. You want to make sure you take care of your daughter because it's just taking care of the daughter. But when you're in the Spirit, you know exactly what to give the daughter. You want to be in a relationship just because you want to be in a relationship. But when you know in the Spirit, you know exactly the kind of relationship you're looking for. And you know exactly what you need in your life. You are more valuable than you could ever know. To the point that the Spirit has to protect the integrity of your value and protect that integrity by allowing you to know exactly where to tap that hammer and to get the engine started. I'm going to share something with you guys that's going to probably blow your mind, but I need you to hear me for a second. How powerful do you have to be for whoever, and I'm not saying this true or not true, but follow me. How powerful do you have to be as a person, as a people, that they have to separate you and put you in your homes and keep you from everybody on this virus to keep you under control? How powerful a person do you have to be that they have to use a coronavirus that is 98%, they say there's a 98% recovery rate to keep you separated? How powerful do you have to be for people to try to use your power against you? Are you listening to me? How powerful would you have to be if I don't want to teach you how to tap into the Spirit? Do you know the power you have to possess to not teach you how to tap in the Spirit? And that's what church was all about. You are amazingly powerful. You're so powerful, I got to keep you from thinking spiritual. I got to get you to think mental and physical. Look at every bit of media. Look at every television show. It's got to control your mind. But your spirit is so powerful, it can't let you tap into the Spirit. Your enemy is not the devil. The enemy is the fact that you don't know how powerful you actually are. And because you're so powerful, you don't know the attack is not on the fact of who you are. It's the fact that do not touch the spirit, whatever you do. Don't look at your relationship through the spirit. No. Look at him because he's fine. Look at his chest. Look at his smooth skin. Look at his beard. Don't look at her because she's a beautiful woman. Look at how big her butt is. Look how big. Why? Is that the right person? Is this what you're supposed to be looking at? No. We've got to keep you out the spirit. So the first thing we do is keep you attached to church. Keeps you out of the spirit. Church keeps you out of the spirit faster than cancer. Second thing I got to do is get you to be a Christian. Why? Because while I'm controlling you, hear me guys, while I'm controlling you, I get you to do stuff and don't think about it and call you a Christian. Can't let you tap into the spirit. I cannot let you tap into the spirit. I cannot let you be sensitive to the spirit. My daughter was talking last night. I do a class called The Mechanics of Spiritual Power. That class will be offered publicly later on this month. And in the class is 5 teachings. And last night was sensitivity to the spirit. And so she said, when I pray, Dad, one of my spiritual daughters, she said, when I pray, Dad, can I do incense? Can I do sage? Can I do all these different things? And I said to her, God wants you to know he is the aroma of your praise. He is the aroma of your prayer. He wants you to know he is the aroma. So if you go into a place and say you're going to sage away the spirits, do you know that you can tap into the spirit in such a way that those spirits have no position and they can't do anything? He wants you to know that you are more powerful than the external things you do to try to alter the spiritual things that are happening. Honey, if you get into a place, she got up this morning at 5 o'clock, called me as soon as she can get a chance to call me. She said, Dallas. She go, Dad, the presence of God came in my room. She said, I'm weeping, I'm crying, I'm feeling my peace, I'm feeling the cleansing. Why? Because the goal, my people, is to keep you out the spirit. You want a job? Take 7 days and pray over that. 7 days. Just take 7 days. Go, you know what? I'm going to pray. Take my notepad and my pen like I did this. My notepad and my pen. I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, the earliest you can, and I'm going to pray for 7 days. Guarantee you, God, if he doesn't send you a job, he'll send you an idea that'll make you some money. Because you've been carrying stuff that has diluted the entrance of spiritual revelation and spiritual understanding. It has been diluted because you are scared. You're fearful. You don't know what to do. You are holding on to money because you think money is real. Your biggest currency is your spirit. When you understand that your spirit can give you stuff that money can't buy. So when you understand these things that are happening, are those things important? That's what I'm saying on TikTok. Is this important? Because when you understand that your defense, your value, your movement, all those things are defined by your ability to hear in the spirit. Your relationships won't go crazy anymore. Your situations won't happen crazy. What happens is you have to let go of the weights that pull you from the connection to God. You have to let go of them. If you don't, what you're destined to do is to live a cycle that leads you to a life that's eventually going to die and you'll never accomplish anything. My wife and I are doing a dive trip. I get people to go, I want to go diving. And I say this all the time. I want to dive, I want to scuba dive. But then I get two kind of people. I'm afraid of water. Never been in water, never been in the ocean. If you've never been in the ocean, let me tell you something that's interesting. My brother and I, God brother and I have no natural brothers. These are all my spiritual brothers. My brother and I go to Tortola, British Virgin Islands. They take us to an island called Virgin Gorda. Look it up. And Virgin Gorda, Gorda. Virgin Gorda. We're at the boat and the buoy is stopped with to float in because the boat can't go in because of the rocks. And I said, can I just jump off the boat? The man said, you pay for the boat. We jump off the boat. We're in the water. I'm floating. And while I'm floating, as I breathe, the pressure of the water has connected to me every day. I mean, the pressure of the water has connected to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear this because I am not joking. This is not a lie. While I'm in the water, I can feel my heartbeat. But not only can I feel my heartbeat, the water is vibrating at the frequency of my heart. It messed me up. And I'm talking, and while I'm talking, I'm praying, and God says, everything on this planet submits to you. So is your emotional feeling, is that important? When the whole thing on the planet, the Bible says that the earth groans, waiting for the sons of God. You are too valuable for this. So you're too valuable for this man to discount you. You're too valuable to be showing yourself all over the Instagram and all over that. You're too valuable for that stuff. If that's what you want, fine, that's you. But when I realized that, so I'm going, you guys need to go. I don't want to. You have had to take control of every one of your fears, your disappointments. Get up in the morning, and I hesitate to say this, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and give God an hour. You need prayer. Get you some water in case you need to get up, a notepad and a pen. God will play music in your mind. He will begin to do stuff and release stuff into your mind that will blow your mind. I am not talking about stuff that I've heard. I'm talking about stuff that I've experienced. And so what you have to realize is all these weights, are they that important? Philippians, the 3rd chapter. Write it down. Philippians, the 3rd chapter. 7th verse says this, but what things were gained to me, those things I count lost for Christ. 8th chapter. Yea, doubtless I count all things but lost for the excellency of the knowledge of the Spirit, for whom I have suffered loss of all things, and do count them as dung, that I may win Christ, or his Spirit. I'm helping you today. I'm really helping you guys today. If you can really hear me today, you are more powerful than you ever knew. You are more powerful than you ever known. But you have to let God begin to touch those areas in your life. Yes, you can be healed, you can be delivered, you can be transformed. All these things can take place. What you have to realize is, if you allow him in, 5 o'clock in the morning, I do a meditation every morning. 5 o'clock in the morning, give him an hour. Just an hour. Just an hour. It's going to seem like an eternity that first day, second day, third day. Around the 4th day, you're going to get up and you're going to feel the presence of God in the room. You're going to feel a peace. And it's going to be almost a tangible peace. It's going to be like somebody has touched you in the wonderful place inside your body, and you don't even know why you feel. It's a cleansing, my God. It is a cleansing that'll take place. It'll make you realize that you're carrying around weights. It'll make you realize that you're carrying around weights. It'll cleanse you. It'll make you feel free. You'll feel light. You'll feel free. Why? Because you're not tapping into your physical that has to work out and run. You're not tapping into your middle, your mind that has to think about it and figure out how to fix it and figure out how to work it out. You're tapping into something that is the source of your life. The you that you are supposed to be and the you that you can be, that's who you're tapping into. Ladies, if a man does not know how to tap into that place for you, he's not for you. If you don't know how to tap into that place, learn how to tap into that place. Bruh, if you don't know how to tap into that place, you are doing every relationship you're in an injustice. Because when you can tap into that place, you can sit somewhere and God will give you, your spirit will begin to recite to you abilities and ways to fix problems that you didn't even know how to fix. People will begin to call you. Situation will begin to happen. He will begin to open doors and you will go, wait a minute. How in the world that's happened? I had a young lady, I'm sitting there looking for something to do, something I need to take care of. Had a young lady call me up and say, God told me to give you $1,000. Some of you are looking at $1,000 going, that'll take care of all my bills. And that's all a prayer. So if he can send persons to do that for me, how much more can he do it for you? How many times can you sit there and go, I'm waiting for a relationship, but I keep this morning confession and this morning prayer, and all of a sudden he begins to lead me step by step right to where he wants me to be, right where that person is. That's what happened with my wife. I said in 2012 that I was going to be married in 2013. They said, who? I said, I have no idea. But I began to focus on listening to the Spirit. He changed my thought processes. He changed how I saw things. He changed how I saw church, Christianity, spirituality. But he began to lead me until I got to a conference. And when I got to the conference, my wife walked in, and we've been married ever since. A year later, we got married according to the systems of this world. But we've been married ever since. Why? Because I allowed him to lead me by my Spirit. First thing we did was pray. We prayed every day. It was also a long distance relationship. So that means that I was also in another state while she was in another state. But we were committed to a unity in the Spirit. And because of that commitment, now you see the power of God. Does that make sense? 13th of that third verse is the most popular part of that verse. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I know, forgetting those things which are behind, I reach forth to those things which are before. One of the greatest spiritual principles you'll ever read in your life, ever read. One of the greatest spiritual principles you'll ever read was that passage. Brethren, I count myself not to have apprehended, but this one thing I know. Forgetting those things which are behind. Brethren, I count myself to have apprehended. When I have mentors, the one thing I don't let my mentors say is, I know. Because the level of stuff you don't know about the Spirit, is so much larger than the stuff you do. I have people that talk to me, and maybe there are people that are mentors to me, and maybe there are people that I mentor. And I never tell them, well, I know. I listen. Because if God can cause the rocks to cry out, if God can use the lilies of the valley, the birds of the air, the fowls of the air to teach me, God can teach me everything. Forgetting those things which are behind. This one thing I do. He said, I consider brethren, I count myself not to have apprehended. I count it as though I haven't learned it either. Until I'm in a place where I am financially so secure that I can do exactly what I need to do financially. I haven't reached the plateau of finances yet. I'm not wealthy yet. When I reach the place that supernatural things happen at the hands of my spirit, I've not reached a spiritual place yet. When I reach the place that I can eat exactly what the Spirit of God says to me to eat, and I can lose and gain the weight that I need to, I have not made it yet. Yes, I hear in the Spirit, and I thank God for hearing the Spirit, but I've not made it yet. I have not made it yet. When I'm able to teach and I can reach 1 million people, then I can say I've done something, but I haven't made it yet. When I tell people, listen, send people to the video, send people to audio. You know why I say that? So I can reach my plateau? No. Can you imagine that you walk in the power? Imagine this. Take your time. Think about this. You walk in power, and your friends walk in power, and your family walks in power. And so where you may miss something in your power, your father will see it, your mom will see it, or your friends will see it. How many relationships you will avoid, how many connections you'll avoid because you're now surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. You have people that are in the Spirit, and they can help you, and you talk to each other, and you connect in each other. So when I say tell your friends, tell people, pass it on, you use the discipline you have to go, girl, you need this, bruh, you need to hear this. Why? Because once this stuff is starting to go, because right now it's just kind of like underground. People talk, well, man, I don't know. I've had a friend of mine told me the other day, he said, my wife thinks you're crazy. It's crazy right now. But what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, everything I'm telling you is become mainframe. It's going to become main system. It's going to become main. And now you're going to go, wow, you are now behind the 8 ball. But you had it right at your access the whole time. The whole time. Church has never been created for relationships. There's no such thing as the head of a household. Husbands not supposed to love wives are not supposed to love their husbands at the same level the husband loves the wife. Genesis was not about Adam, it was about Eve. But I can go down the list of these things. Tithing is not a principle of the New Testament, it is a suggestion from the Old Testament. All these things are going to begin to take place. And I'm teaching all these things. Why? Because I want you a step ahead. I want you to be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve. Why? Because when you're ahead of the curve, whatever they bring on this world, because you are spiritual, that thing that they bring on this world will give you an edge because you'll already know that it's coming. You'll already know that it's coming. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. 5 o'clock in the morning, for those of you that can really push, 5 o'clock from 5 to 6 in the morning, start to pray. Make your list of things that you want to accomplish. Make your list of things you want to accomplish. And when you make your list of things that you want to accomplish, then from that point on, you can begin to build those things and build them in such a way that they will allow you to begin to move forward in the things that you've been called to do. Money is nothing but leverage. Your currency is your spirit. Start looking at the things around yourself and start going, is that important? Is this that important? Is this that important? Is this why? Because he said in that passage, he said, everything I consider gain, I consider loss for Christ. I consider everything in your life that you consider gain, consider it loss. Pretend like you never got it. What would you do to get it? Pretend like you never got it and ask yourself, what would you do to get it? All right? Guys, I love you very much. I thank God for you. I pray that this has been a ministry, a blessing to you. It will be on YouTube. I'm not going to go off of my 2 social medias, but I'm about to close YouTube out. It will be on YouTube. So go on YouTube and look it up and search it. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, connect to us in such a way as we do new classes and do teachings. You'll be right there in the midst of it. These teachings are very general. I have specific teachings for my classes. If you are a couple, I'm going to start advertising my power couple in January. For the early bird people, I'm going to give you a major discount if you are early bird person. Or major discount if you're early bird. And this is a couples retreat. All right? All right, guys, I love you. Thank you very much for you in my YouTube community. I will see you guys on tomorrow. No, Monday or Wednesday. I'll see you guys on Friday, and we'll deal with those things on Friday. All right? God bless you, YouTube people. God bless you, everybody.